him, say, here's my cup, fill it up and make me whole. Somebody lift your hands. God, fill us again in your presence. Come on, lift your hands and ask him, fill me again in your presence. Come on, somebody ask him, fill me with more of your power, more of your strength, more of your joy. That's what I sense in the room. Somebody just came to be filled tonight. Somebody grab him hand. Feed me till I want no more. Here's my cup. Here's my cup. You want to lift up your spirit, say, here's my cup. Fill it up and make me. I want to be made whole. Hey, I need about 2,000 people to raise up your voice and just cry out in the room. Come on, somebody shout for Jesus. Raise up your voice and give me more. Hey, God, we need more. Fill me up till I overflow. I want to run over. I want to run over. Fill me up till I overflow. Say, I want to run. Say, I want to run. You have to fill me up till I overflow. I want to run. I want to run. Fill me up till I want to run. Say, I want to run. Fill me up till I overflow. I want to run. Fill me up, God. Fill me up. Fill me up, God. Fill me up. Just the voices say, fill me up, God. Fill me up. Fill me up, God. Fill me up. One more time, say, fill me up, God. Fill me up, God. Fill me up, God. You unravel me with a melody. You surround me with a song of deliverance.
Hey, God bless you. This pastor here. Welcome back to Night Talk. It's been a minute. It's been at some time now. After Father's Day, we missed a show, but we are back together, relaxing and chilling and talking about important things that affect our families and affect our lives. All right, so we are going to spend today, of course, we in the diaspora, we have issues on our table now. So I want to focus our show today on talking about does the Black Lives Matter? Does the Black Lives Matter? That's what we're going to talk about. So I'm going to be connecting with you on that matter. It connects with all of us. It connects with Africans, African Americans, every black person, especially in America. That is what today's show is going to be about. So I want you to stay with me as we talk about does the Black Lives Matter. And I'm going to be laying out certain points and certain points of view that we are going to educate ourselves with, and more importantly, we are going to know what to do in times like this. What are the possible solutions that can be done for God to get the glory out of all of this, and also for the life of Africans and African Americans in America, for us to thrive, rise above the storm, and rise above the challenge, and face it squarely, and take advantage of the wisdom and the strength that God has given us. All right, so today we'll talk about that's the Black Lives Matter. Now, before we get into the matter, I want to talk about when I say that's the Black Lives Matter, I want you to know I'm not talking about the movement. I'm talking about a general sentence. That's the Black Lives Matter. That's what I'm going to talk about. So I don't know much about the Black Lives Matter movement, but I'm passionate to kind of express the importance of valuing lives and all of the things that is required as a people to value. And it's important that every platform we add our voice to express the importance of what we need to do to gain the victory in the area possible. So I'm going to be right back, and we're going to start the conversation about that's the Black Lives Matter.
You rescue me so I can stand and sing. Yes, I am. I am a child. I am a child of God. Say you split the sea. You split the sea. Come on, say it. Walk right through it. Yes, my fears are drowned in a perfect love. Hey, you rescue me so I can stand and sing. Oh, yeah, a child of God. Come on, hands on the rock. Stand to your feet. You split the sea. Come on. So yes, me, I walk right through it. My fears are drowned in a perfect love. Hey, you rescued me so I can stand and sing. I am a child of God. Come on, you split the sea, you split the sea. Say, you split.
All right, welcome back to our show tonight. This is Night Talk, your host, Pastor Kwame, and today we're going to talk about that's the Black Lives Matter. I'm going to begin the conversation by giving you a full crash course history of the Black life in America. The Black life in America. And once I talk about the Black life in America, you will understand the story in full completion. So, about 400 years ago, the Black life was in transition. We are looking at the Black life in America. So about 400 years ago, the Black life was in transition. But the transition period is called the slave trade. So the first chapter of the life of blacks in America is called chapter 1. And that chapter began before they landed on the shores of America. It means that when the black man was leaving Africa for the first time and never to come back again, that black life didn't matter. It didn't matter because that black life was a slave in transition. That black life was a slave in transition. Now, most people argue that the slaves that came to America, they were slaves before they came to America, or they were sold before they came to America. But you and I know the truth is their journey from Africa to America was not a journey that they took at their will. They were literally kidnapped. They were literally seized. They were literally arrested. If people were free, you don't bring them in chains. You bring them as a free person. So 400 years ago, The first life of the black people were lives of slavery. Before they hit their feet in the land of Jamestown, Virginia, they came as slaves. And their lives didn't matter. The kind of slaves that they were, it tells you their life didn't matter. Because you can't put chains and pack people like sardines and tell me their life mattered. And so that is where I will start this story from. Anyways, before I go there, let me push back a little bit and say that, okay, so before they got into the ship and the boat, they were at the coast of West Africa, still treated inhuman. But the journey that we are talking about is the journey from the coast of Africa into America. That journey, estimate of millions of people lost their life due to how they were treated. Millions of people lost their lives due to how they were treated. And any treatment that can kill million people, it tells you that the black life didn't matter before 400 years. All right. So the black life, you can write that down. The black life didn't matter before they landed into Jamestown. That's the first few slaves that landed into Jamestown. And let's talk about when they landed into Jamestown. When they landed into Jamestown, they were auctioned as properties. So the first batch came, they were auctioned to people, and they began to work and then at some point, they never mattered, so they were not treated well. They were treated very inhuman. But the cruelty and the evil of the black life started when the cotton industry was booming. They were taking cotton, processing it, and shipping to England to make textiles. When that industry started becoming big, then the need for more slaves started coming. So slaves kept coming. So there were a lot of slaves that now, whether you like it or not, you are coming from Africa, so arrested and shipped over here for them to work as slaves. So now you understand that when they came, they didn't matter. Now when they came in their numbers, I want to tell you what they went through. As if the millions that died in the Atlantic Ocean was not enough, they took them, and when the slaves come from Africa, they would take the mother and send him on the northern part of America. They would take the father, send him on the southern part. They would take the brother, send him here, and they take that. So the first thing is that they disintegrated them so that they have no hope, they have no identity, and they have nothing. Does the black life matter at that time? No. So keep writing. The black life the answer is still no. All right. They will separate them, and they will now sleep with the women that they want to sleep with, kill the men they want to kill. In other words, the black life didn't matter, and the black life not only didn't matter, the black life was abused legally. The black man, everyone can kill their slave anytime they want. When they mess up, they can destroy them. So the black life didn't matter during slavery. During slavery, the black life was killed. Let me give you some sad news. During slavery, the black life, if you are a slave in a house, you were not considered a human being. You were considered a property. You were considered a property. So you're not even considered like a pet or something. You are a property. So the owner can do whatever they want to do with you. Human cruelty was a legal issue. You can do whatever you want to a slave. It was so bad. May God forgive America and churches in America back then. If your slave ran away, you can post the wanted slave flyer in churches. So when people go to church, when white people go to church, they will make an announcement that Mr. Smith's slave ran away. Bring him for a lucrative reward. And churches were supporting not racism, but the killing of slaves. Because the church knows that when Mr. Smith's slave that has run away, when he comes back, they're going to kill him, but they're going to announce the flyer in the church notice board so that they will go find Mr. Smith's slave and kill him. So black life didn't matter at that time. And what happened was they will not only treat them badly, but most importantly, they will destroy them with conditioning slavery. When one slave does something, they will lynch that slave and make a postcard out of it to scare everybody to behave like a slave. Because human beings are not slaves, but they tortured them enough, they destroyed them enough so that they will behave like slaves. So that was the black life in slavery. So the black life didn't matter. This continued for 250 years. That the black man didn't matter. Rape the girls, lynch the guys, destroyed them. Oh, Jesus Christ. So during slavery, the black life didn't matter because according to the first copy of United States Constitution, the Negro was counted as 3/5 of a human being. The Negro was counted as 3/5. If you convert it, it's 60% human. The Negro was counted 60% human. So that, and we thought that at least they saw humans in us. That we are humans, and then we are also, how might I put it? We are humans, and we are also maybe monkeys. Like monkeys, 40%, humans, 60%. But when you read the document, that was not the reason they said we were 3/5 humans. They said that because they were using to file taxes. They were using that figure to file taxes so that if you want to claim a Negro on your taxes and become more rich as a slave owner, you can count them. They are not humans, but you can count them as human because these properties they eat. So you can put them on your taxes. So if you want to put a Negro on your taxes, you can't claim the Negro as a full human being because they are not human, they are properties. But still, if you insist, then claim them as 60% human. So if you're going to get $2,000, I mean, if you're going to get, those days it wasn't big money. If you're going to claim your white daughter as your daughter, as your dependent, and she will get $200, the Negro, or if you get $100, the Negro will get $60. Because the Negro is not a full human being, but it was for tax purposes. It wasn't because the Negro was a human being. So in this, I have so much stories to tell. But the point is that the Negro was not a person that was considered a human being. Left alone, his life going to matter. So that is the second question. Does the black life matter during slavery? The answer is no. The black life never mattered. The Negro never got paid for anything. The Negro worked hard all his life and was killed by heart, by hobby, and by choice. And the wives were raped by... Let me tell you how bad it is. The Negro was so molested, abused, and mistreated to the point that presidents, and senators and governors and American leaders, they all had secret Negroes women. They all had secret Negroes they had at their basement that they were sleeping with. Those ones were under law. All the leaders, prominent ones, they all had, some of them just resurfaced recently. They had black women that they have locked in their basement that way they were raping every time they want. That is the secret dirty life of their leaders. Number two, they all have slaves that they own. So if you look at a leader in America back then, you will say, okay, this is Mr. Jefferson, whatever. Jefferson has a plantation, has 10 cars or 10 whatever, caravan, whatever they were using back time. And then Mr. Smith also has 10 property of slave. And the day Mr. Smith that they will say things like the house goes to my daughter. I give my daughter Angela Smith my house in this part of town, and I give my daughter 2 slaves as her inheritance, and all the children that will be born from that slave. All right, so let me stop right there. You know how bad it is. Let me go to the churches during that time. During that time, the churches were preaching that it is God who wants the Negro to be treated that way. They were saying that God has put a curse on the Negro. They said that anybody, the church in America was preaching that anybody that tries to bring the Negro and then the white man together, they will conceive the wrath of God. They said that if you look at the book of Genesis, it was the serpent in the garden was not a serpent, but it was a maid. It was a maid servant to Adam and Eve in the garden. And the serpent is a woman in the Bible. It was a negress, which is a black woman. The serpent was a black woman, and that serpent is the one that decided to advise the Adam and Eve. And then when Adam and Eve decided to talk and become close to the black woman in the garden, then sin came into this world. So if sin is going to come to this world, it's because the black man came low. The white man came low to associate it with the beast called the negress. So the black person is a beast. The black person is a property, and the black person is evil. So God doesn't want the black person to mix with the white person. That's where the nonsense that the church in America were preaching. So the black life, let me continue. The black life didn't matter before they landed here. The black life didn't matter when they landed here for 250 years. The black life didn't matter. They killed many. They killed so many. If I show you the figures, you're going to cry. They killed so many. So understand slavery, the black life doesn't matter. Now let's move on. After slavery, we move to what we call the Jim Crow laws. So the black life is trying to free itself, and so it wasn't sitting well. Through that, America went to civil war. Some part of them, and it's so funny though, but whatever made them go to civil war, I'm sure it had nothing to do with the black life. It had nothing. According to the history, the only reason, because those people who fought against slavery, they own slaves. Pay attention. The white men who fought against slavery, they themselves, they own slaves, and they agree that the black life doesn't matter. I'm going to tell you why they fought against slavery. All right. So the white men that fought against slavery, they didn't fight because the black life mattered. They didn't fight because the black life was human. They fought against slavery for only one reason: so that they can unite the nation. Okay, let me explain. So the slaves in the north of America and the slaves in the south of America were not treated the same. The Confederate are the slaves who, they want the Confederate flag, or the people that were the Confederate, they wanted to continue slavery and not pay slaves and treat them like trash that they've been doing for 200 years. But the people in the north, they had slaves all right. They had corn plantation all right. But they were paying their slaves. They were paying their slaves. You see? And so the top, the leaders of the nation realized that if we continue this, the nation is divided. So the option is either we go 100% slavery where we don't pay anybody and make the slavery a uniform something to form, because they wanted the nation to be one. So the option was, do we let the South become the template, or do we let the South become how we deal with slaves, or we want the North to become how we deal with slaves? That's where the war came from. So to unite the nation, they couldn't have that polarized idea. Are we going the South way or the North way? So the leaders said, the South way is more difficult to maintain, because the South way, the slaves were dying. The South way, the slaves were killed, and they will run out of slaves because they want to keep slaves for a long time and not make their life matter. So let's not do it the South way, else we will kill them and we won't have them anymore. But we need them to be alive so we can have slaves forever. That's where the whole thing came from. So the leaders decided to stop the South way of slavery, supposedly abolish slavery, because that is how we unify the nation. So they stood and fought and declared independence for the slave, that the Emancipation Proclamation is that now the slave is free. But did the Black Lives Matter? No. So when they made the slave free, then they decided to legalize some laws called the Jim Crow laws, that the slave is free, but the slave is never equal to us. Abraham Lincoln said that, I believe that in America there must be a superior position and inferior position, and the superior must be ascribed to the white race, and the inferior must be ascribed to the lower race. So when supposedly the slavery was over, we're going to the stage of segregation and the Jim Crow laws. Now, you would think that it is getting better, but it wasn't getting better, because all of you know that if you are married to they can kill you. If you are married to an abusive person and you try to leave them, they can kill you. So we were in a stage where we were hated. The Black life was hated even the more during the segregation period. So that time, the lynching increased, the death increased. They were killing and killing and killing the Black life. So the Black life didn't matter at all. The Black life didn't matter. Now, this is how bad it was. Those who fought to free slaves, if they did it because they care about Black life, they would have told those who were killing blacks to stop. But during that time, a whole city, oh God, an entire city was set on fire by white people. Burned the whole city down, Tulsa. And no police officer came in there. No government official came in there. Nobody came in there to say sorry. So if they care about the Black life, now it's clear they don't care about the Black life. So the Black life didn't matter at that time. The Black life didn't matter. They united the nation by abolishing slavery, but the Black life can be treated any way and any shape the Black person wants. That the white man wants. So the Black life, in time of Jim Crow, the Black life didn't matter. So the Jim Crow laws were laws that made it illegal for a Black man to be like a white man. In other words, if you go to where white men are, you should be arrested. If you go to if you drink from the white man's fountain, like it was segregated, and it was purely based on the color of your skin. Sit at the back of the bus. But those were the outward laws. But internally, the black life was killed for no reason. The black life was wounded. The black life was destroyed. So the black life never mattered. And that also continued for 98 years, destroying the black life. So now you know that the weapon of slavery was used on the black life. And then the weapon of segregation was used on the black life. It didn't matter. Now, when you move from Jim Crow laws, then the next law, the black life didn't matter, was what we call the judicial system. So understand how they destroy the black life. Slavery suicide. Millions of black people die in the ocean. Suicide. Millions of people. Over 4 million that are here. Was the first destruction. 2. Slavery for 250 years was the second destruction. 3. They move into Jim Crow laws to legally destroy black people. And then 4, then their fourth plan was using the judicial and the prison system. Do you see that? So, after slavery, they went to Jim Crow. After Jim Crow, they decided to redline them, create ghettos for them, because they are about to destroy them in another way. So they will gradually, before all of this happened, in every black neighborhood, there were 90% white people there. But when they changed, so when they change how they want to destroy you, they come up with another way of destroying you. So when they changed the Jim Crow laws, they went to the drawing board and they designed a perfect system that will make the black life poor, that will make the black life go to prison, that will make the black life a slave again. Because as I'm speaking, there are more blacks in jail than blacks that were slaves 400 years ago. And every black person in jail, they work for free. You understand? As I'm speaking, there are more black men in jail than there were slaves 400 years ago. And all black men in jail, they work for free. You understand? Right. So the system was, okay, for us to put all of them in jail, let's create redlining. Let's create a place where they sit. So they told the white people that were in the black neighborhood, move out, so that it will become only black in their place. Because we are about to starve them. We are about to write policies that will make them poor. We are about to remove resources from them so that they will end up living in ghettos. We are about to create something called ghetto for the black person. And when we create that, they will be poor, they will be hungry, they will be angry, and they will offend each other. And then we will cause the law enforcement to come up on them hard, and we arrest them and put them into jail. Do you understand? So the judicial system was, so the prisons, right after Jim Crow law, the prisons became a $1 billion industry, because that was another level of, that's the Black Lives Matter question they wanted to destroy again. So they built billions of that. And in one of their article, they said that we have built billions of dollars facility for prisons. If we don't arrest enough black people, it will be waste. So mind you, they are starving their community financially. So this we can talk about forever. When they left segregation, during slavery, it was illegal for a black person to learn how to read and write. Segregation, another same thing. So they will create a system such that the black man cannot have a job. As I'm speaking today, if you go to jail and come back, you can't even vote, you can't get a job, your life is destroyed. And so they destroy you that way. And a lot of them. So the black man, his life has never mattered in America. Now, so as I'm speaking to you now, the black life doesn't matter in America, because the system that are against the black man is not the visible one you see. The police brutality is not what is against the black man. If all policemen stop killing black men, black life still will not matter. Because black life doesn't matter because the law says so. The law says so. Does the black life matter? It's a legal question, and the answer is no. The black life doesn't matter because legally he is not entitled for his life to matter. So slavery is a legal status of every black person. Or racism is a legal issue. So the redlining, the intentional creation of low level income community and denying them of all, the history is so clear. The black life doesn't matter in America. Now let me go on to the future. So mass suicide before they landed, slavery, Jim Crow law, the judicial system. So now the next level is biological weapon. So that is where the black life is now. And even that biological weapon, it started a long time ago. There were places where the black people lived, where the water source that was going on in the water supply that was going to the black community, they put lead in the water, so it will agitate the young people that drink it, for them to be hyper, so that they can arrest them. The white man in charge of America is an evil man. Evil man. Evil man. The Democrat Party is an evil party. The Republican Party is an evil party. They don't care about the black life. They don't care about the black life. The reason you say, so how come some black people become successful? How come some black people end up becoming superstars? How come some black people become NBA? How come some black people become movie stars? How come, if black life didn't matter, how come? I will be back on the other side of the show to answer that question.
Cover me with a melody. You surround me with a song of deliverance from my enemies, till all my fears are gone. I'm no longer a slave to fear. Oh, I am a child of God. Send me no longer one slave to no fear. I a child. I am a child of God. From my mother's womb, you have chosen me. Love has called feminine. See, I've been born again into a family. Your blood flows through Femi veins. See, I'm no longer one slave, me no longer, no, me no longer, cause I am a child of God. Say me no longer, no slave, to no fear. Yeah, say I am. You split the sea, you split the sea, you split the sea. Oh, you split the sea, so I can walk right through it. Come on, House of the Rock. My fears are drowned in a perfect love, in a perfect love. You rescue me, so I can stand and sing. Yes, I am. I am a child. I am a child of God. Say you split the sea. You split the sea. Come on, say it. Walk right through it. Yes, my fears are drowned in a perfect love. Hey, you rescued me, so I can stand and sing. Oh, yeah, a child of God. Come on, House of the Rock, stand to your feet. You split the sea. Come on, so I can. Yes, me, I walk right through it. My fears, they're drowned in a perfect love. Hey, you rescued me, so I can stand and sing. I am a child of God. Come on, you split the sea, you split the sea. Say, you. My God, my fears, them drown in a perfect la. Me sing. You rescued me, standing. Come on, lift it up. I am a child. Oh, yes, I am. Yes, I am.